Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of Around the League here on Halos and the Infield Network, Heedy Network. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe to the channel and to the page on social media, all the ones down below here on the ticker. Instagram, X, where Fernando does a great job, and of course on Facebook, and then here on YouTube, of course. Also, the Believe Network for podcast form. It's really good to be on this network here. Of course, I cover all of MLB, not just the Angels. I think you can get that from other shows on the network, and just watch all of them. Of course, that'd be great. Leave a good review, of course, wherever you can, and comment on everything. All the shows are really good. Halo Joe's show's coming back, and you have Dominic with the minor league show, Fernando's and Todd's podcast that happens during the week as well. And pretty soon, opening day will be here soon. So the post games will be here with Todd, live one, so you can comment on and call in. Interesting to see if there'll be any new rules on that with the calls and how far off track the calls and the whatever things will happen. All right, so again, thank you for tuning in, of course, and I guess we'll start the show off here with some MLB news and notes. Now, obviously, with the season coming on, moves had to be made. And Cleveland was really busy on the weekend. They traded for Nolan Jones, an outfielder from the Rockies. Uh, Pretty good pop in the bat. Hopefully, a consistent hitter. Cleveland needed that, and they went out and got it. So that'll be interesting to see how they fit in with that young roster they already have in Cleveland. But it shows that the Colorado Rockies are just giving away players. I really mean that. It's ridiculous what the Rockies have done. Either they gave away players or they're not paying players, whatever the damn case is. Uh, Dick Munford has just turned that, franchise from, being respectable to being a damn loser, it feels like. And it's been awful. If you're a Rocky fan, it's almost like you want to boycott the team. They tried Chris Bryant, but that didn't work out. Anyway, uh, Cleveland also uh, kept Tanner Beebe around, the number one starter. He gets an extension. He'll be starting opening day, by the way. Right-hander, of course. He signed a 5-year extension worth $58 million. Could be worth $68 million over 6 seasons. Just depends. They have a team option in 2030. Cleveland does for BB, but it's good to see him back. He'll get his first opening day assignment against at Kansas City against the Royals. Last year he went 12-8 with a respectable 3.47 ERA. He had 12 quality starts, 31 outings, and 187 strikeouts in 173 and two-third innings. So Cleveland getting busy in that AL Central before we start, but they weren't the only team. On Saturday, the Kansas City Royals went out and acquired outfielder Mark Canha. You may remember him from such teams as the A's, the Mets, the the Giants, the Brewers, among others. Seems like he's just been on the run as of late, just from team to team. He's almost like Hunter Renfroe in a way. So he's 36 years old. He will be sent to Kansas City from Milwaukee for a player to be named later. Those are always fun. Or cash, and I wonder how much if that happens. The Tokyo series happened with the Cubs and the Dodgers. I didn't want to stay up or wake up early for that. I Nah, I'm good. But Shohei showed out. There were a couple of plays though by fans getting in the way of things. Rodney Peete, the former USC quarterback, and that goes back a long way, and he played for multiple teams in the NFL, mostly as a journeyman backup quarterback. But he was a fixture at the game because he caught a foul ball that Max Muncy could have caught. It's interesting to note Muncy was able to reach into the crowd and not have a net right there to get in the way. So there was an Otani home run that was hit too high. It's too high. What do you mean it's too high? Yeah, it went high, and then it looked like it was gonna go over the fence, but some fans reached over the railing or the wall and got the ball, but they went and reviewed it and said, "Oh no, because of it, because it's Otani, yeah, just call it a home run. You need it for the views." So the Dodgers won both games. Unfortunately, Shota Aminyama Aminyaga had a 4 inning no hit bid going, but he was over his pitch mark of like 65, and the Cubs took him out. And then the Dodgers went to town on the Cub bullpen, and then they ended up winning the next game as well. Did the Dodgers? So that was unfortunate to see, of course. But the Dodgers, of course, start out at 2-0 officially with these two whatever games you want to call them, regular season starters. And that was 4-1 last Tuesday, and then last Wednesday, the Dodgers won 6-3. So again, they're 2-0, and the Cubs start out as 0-2 officially. Of course, we had the exhibition games going on. I believe the Dodgers took 2 out of 3 from the Angels. One was at Dodger Stadium, of course, on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday were at Angel Stadium. The Angels walked it off, I think, on Monday with a Taylor Ward single, and then Tuesday, of course, the Dodgers won 4-1. And it was good to note that Mookie Betts did come back and he played in the game despite all of his health issues going on. It was more than a flu or stomach virus, it seemed like. But he felt better to play. He tried going on Sunday and couldn't. He tried going Monday and he couldn't, but he played today. It was scary, though, tonight or Tuesday because he lost 20 pounds overall. He couldn't keep food down. I just can't imagine that. But anything he would eat, it would not go out the other way. It would come back. Just a horrible thing to go through. And he's already skinny as heck. And he just got skinnier off of that. So we'll see how he does. He's going to be ready for opening day. And it might be a chore for him just to maneuver around. We'll see. All right. So there was also other news. Former slugger Joey Gallo says he's going to become a pitcher instead of being a hitter. Joey Gallo in this spring training, he went 2 for 20 at the plate as a White Sox. I think he drew 1 walk. He had 2 singles, 1 an RBI single, but that was it. He was really known for his power, and over the last few years, moving from team to team. Remember, he was a fixture in Texas as they were, closing out the old outdoor ballpark into the new ballpark. And I think that affected him because the ball doesn't travel as much inside, of course, in Texas. Duh. But he moved around to, I think it was a Dodger at one point, and then a Yankee, of course, and he was booed out of town. Ended up being a national last year and did not do well. and then tried out again with the White Sox this year and just wasn't there. But he always had an arm. Remember, he would throw out runners. That was one of his specialties, other from striking out or hitting bombs. But I think the fastest he threw on an assist was 94 miles per hour. It was always like Aaron Hicks or Joey Gallo had the fastest throws from the outfield. But he was a two-way player in high school. He's 31 years of age. He threw fast when he was younger, of course. So it's going to be interesting to see how he ends up. The White Sox did release him as well last week officially to for him to pursue being a pitcher. We'll see if he does like what Brett Phillips did and end up, putting down the bat and, taking on the mound. Last time I knew he was with the Yankees, and he developed a couple of pitches, and we'll see what comes out of that. Before we get to, there's so much other news I got to mention for you. Evan Carter, the left fielder, remember he was kind of the hero for the Rangers when they won the World Series in 23. He will begin the season in the minors. It's kind of a shocker because they have Wyatt Langford, Taveras, and Garcia in the outfield, but they can always use a bench player. And somehow Evan Carter must not be seeing the ball as well. Speaking of that, Mickey Moniak, I know you probably heard it from the channel, or you will hear it from the channel here about, I know this is Rob's guy too, and he was looking for him to have a bounce back year, but just never seemed that would happen for him. For Moniak, I should say, because he was that first round pick that was a bust in Philadelphia. He was traded over to the Angels. He had a good 2 or 3 months with the Angels in 23, got hurt, and after that he was just never the same. 24, he was in and out of the lineup. His defense was a little better than before. But in spring training, where he really had to show up, he didn't, along with Adele. Hitting well below the Mendoza line, just not getting on base. It was just a failed project from the start. Well, I shouldn't say from the start, but it was just another project the Angels had to take on that they can't afford to take on. And not afford, but just now you're looking back, it's just a waste of time. That's what I mean by that. So it was unfortunate, but I wish Moniak nothing but the best. He's a local kid from San Diego, of course, and Costa Canyon High School, I want to say. So yeah, again, Rob, I feel awful about that. Maybe a scenery, maybe going again. Whoever leaves the Angels, they go and play better. Angels, by the way, did make another trade with the Braves. That's 4 now in a span of, it seems like, a year or two. But remember the ones with Iglesias as well back in the day for Jesse Chavez, and Jesse Chavez ends up back on the Braves again and again and again. But Ian Anderson, who walks a lot of folks, he'll be with the Angels now and trade over from the Braves. So he'll fit in very well with the walks with the Angels. But we'll see if he could change that around. Jose Suarez, Todd's guy, traded to Atlanta. We'll see if he ends up in the minors trying to build his way back up. We'll talk in the preview about the Braves and their pitching issues that stem from last year going into this year. Some other news, Jordan Montgomery. And it was, I didn't realize how fat he is. But I guess the jerseys last year kind of make that happen. Of course, I shouldn't be talking. But he was the big money pitcher. I think he's going to make over $20 million this year. And he was downgraded to be a long reliever with the Diamondbacks. They already have a stacked rotation We'll talk about that again. But it was found out on Tuesday he had to go undergo the dreaded Tommy John surgery. It's just unfortunate. You got to credit the Diamondbacks for going out and spending as a middle-sized market. They haven't been shy. They went out and got Corbin Burns for a multi-year deal. So it's just unfortunate for Montgomery, who was, signed late, remember, last spring training and going into opening day. And just more bad luck for him, it feels like. There for Seattle, they extend Cal Raleigh, the power hitting catcher. He's known for walk-offs and killing the Angels. But he signs a 6-year, $105 million extension. It's very good to see if you're a Mariner fan, because you want to keep those players around, and they haven't really been able to do that. Of course, they've been in the news, and we talked about it, or I did, I should say. Hopefully you heard it, about Justin Turner, giving them a little shaft about how they didn't do anything in the offseason other from re-signing Jorge Polanco and Donovan Solano, a few infielders. But they didn't do anything else to address maybe the backside of the bullpen. But they do have a great rotation. But signing Cal Raleigh, that is a step in the right direction. And then Cam Smith, one man I've been talking about with the Houston Astros, or at least I've been thinking about it. He makes the opening day roster for Houston. They need all the help they can get on the infield. In the infield, excuse me. How can I mess that up? It's Heedy. In the infield, he's a prospect that went in the Kyle Tucker trade from the Cubs to the Astros. And I was watching a local report from Houston, and they were interviewing him in Florida. And he seems like a kid that has his head on right. I hope everyone would. But he'll be playing the infield, play some outfield for him. He might have a breakout season. I don't know if he'll be Rookie of the Year. We'll see what happens. But Cam Smith, congrats to him making the opening day roster. And then, of course, we got to end with a damn Angel story, of course. Ryan Johnson, believe a pitch. Yeah, he's a pitcher, of course. But the question will he be? He's going to be a reliever. But he makes the opening day Angels roster, and he has not yet played in the major leagues. He has not pitched in the major leagues. This is such an Angels move, and I hope Todd and Fernando or whomever else talks about this, because it is ridiculous how many times the Angels have brought up somebody and they're not ready, just based off desperation. Kanan Dana, you remember last year. Kohanowitz, you could say. And then there was a few more others, but maybe even Reed Detmers was brought up too soon. Who knows? But just the Angels seem to be making these moves, and it's just mind-boggling to see. I just don't get it for sure. But again, credit to Mookie Betts back in the lineup, fighting the illness that he had. Is really mysterious in a way as well, the illness he had. So let's quickly get to, and I didn't have it written down as a banner, but the opening day starters for all the teams this year, or all the games this year, starting on Thursday, of course, on March 27th. And there's one game, by the way, on March 28th, and it's interesting to note of whom it is. But opening day starters, you have Freddie Peralta going for Milwaukee. They'll be in the Bronx to face Carlos Rodon. Don't want to say number 6 his name, against the New York Yankees, and that would be the only ESPN televised day game at noon our time. Some more games at that time. Well, one more game, I should say. Zach Eflin, who, remember, got the call saying that he was going to be the opening day starter of the Orioles from his family, the 3 daughters, I believe, and the mom. Just a heartwarming story there. So he'll be the opening day starter in Toronto, as it will be the former Twin Jose Barrios going for the Blue Jays. 1 o'clock here, you got Garrett Crochet, the newest Red Sox ace, going for Boston, in Texas, facing former Red Sox Nathan Eovaldi. Zach Wheeler will be going for Philly as they go to Washington to face Mackenzie Gore and the Nationals. In Kansas City, like we mentioned, Tanner Beebe will get the start for Cleveland. In Kansas City, it would be Cole Reagans, and he just got an extension among others. I believe Waka 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 got one as well in Kansas City. They made some tremendous moves there. Nothing offensive, though. National League games. Let's see. Clay Holmes, the former Yankee, will go for the Mets in Houston. Well, an old National League game. This is an interleague game. The Astros at the newly named Daikin Field. Careful. Framber Valdez will be the starter for the Astros. Logan Webb will be the starter for the Giants on opening day. At Cincinnati, it'll be Hunter Green going for the Reds. And of course, because the Reds were the first team ever, I think back in 1876, they get to start all their games opening day at home, no matter what. And it's a whole festive atmosphere. It's really, really cool. If you ever go to that, do so. In San Diego, Michael King will go for the Padres against Chris Sale, who had a great Renaissance year. He did have some issues. His back at the end of the year that kind of halted him, but it was a great story. So it's Sale versus King. Sounds like a mattress commercial or something in San Diego. Also, 1 o'clock 1 o'clock. It'll be the Angels, of course, throwing out Yusuke Kikuchi. Careful how I say that. For the Angels, on the south side, it will be Sean Burke as the White Sox opening day starter. I know who the hell is that, but yeah, they made some trades, and the White Sox are really young, as we'll talk about. In Miami, you have Paul Skeens going for the Pirates. Of course, he was Rookie of the Year last year. In Miami to face Sandy Alejandra, the Marlins opening day starter and trade bait. Get it? For the interleague games, there's three more, but you got Pablo Lopez going for the Twins against Sonny Gray for the Cardinals in St. Louis. It'd be interesting to see how St. Louis is this year. Tarek Skubal, the one who won the Cy Young in the American League, will be going for the Tigers at Dodger Stadium as they will reveal their championship sign or whatever it is in right field, down the right field line. It'll be Blake Snell getting the start for the Dodgers. Shota Imanaga will get the start for the Cubs in Arizona against Zach Gallen of Arizona. So that's going to be fun. Luis Seferino, the highest paid A, will go for the Athletics, no city name. In Seattle to face Logan Gilbert for the Mariners. That'll be two fun night games there. The Cubs and the Snakes, and then the A's and the Mariners. And then we have one Friday opening day game while everybody else plays their second. Kyle Freeland, not everybody, but Kyle Freeland will get the start for Colorado in Tampa. And it won't be Shane McClanahan. He had a tricep issue. It'll be Ryan Pepitote, the former Dodger, who was in the trade to the Rays. This game at 1 o'clock our time, but on Friday. And it's significant because it is the first regular season game for the Rays at George M. Steinbrenner Field. I know, that sounds weird, but they had nowhere else to go. So the Rays playing their games, of course, at the Yankees spring training and single A home. Again, we have two teams that are playing at minor league ballparks this year, the A's and the Rays. But that's what it is. So that's the opening day starters there. Let's get into some predictions. And really quick, the three new managers, usually there's more than that. But Terry Francona will lead the Young Reds this season. He took a year off from the Guardians, went down south in Ohio, and taking on the Reds and trying to motivate their young guys. Also in the National League for the Miami Marlins, Skip Schumacher went away, and Clayton McCall will be the new manager for the Marlins. You hear just crickets right now, or however quiet the fish are. In the American League, there was only one managerial change, and I feel bad for this guy, Will Venable, who's I think a Princeton graduate, former player, of course, outfielder with the Padres, bench coach with the Tigers, or I'm sorry, with the Texas Rangers, and won a ring in 23. Was also on the staff with oh goodness, with the Cubs before that too. I believe he was a base coach, one of the bases, of course, first, third. So those are the new managers there for MLB. Only three. It's not like other sports where you get 6 or 7 new coaches or managers, whatever you want to say. So that was kind of unique how it was only 3 this year. All right, let's get into some, let's say, award predictions first, because I think this is juicy. For the American League, I'm going to say the MVP will be Bobby Witt Jr. There's just a lot of pressure on Aaron Judge, and if he misses time, I think that's going to go against him as well. Bobby Witt Jr. is just bound to have one of those breakout MVP years. Remember, if Judge didn't hit all those home runs last year, Bobby Witt Jr. would have won it. So I think this year Bobby Witt gets it. He's going to lead those Royals to a possible wild card spot, maybe even the division. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see in a minute. Skubal, I think, gets his second straight Cy Young Award winner in the American League for the Detroit Tigers, as they seem to be a playoff team as well. The rookie year, I think, will be Christian Campbell, the second baseman, and a lot of pressures on him too for the Red Sox. But he's going to be a big part of that team and the young core going forward. They have a couple of other guys, Marcelo among others, and they even have a 28-year-old guy who is really mature, but he hasn't really found it until maybe this year, and they'll bring him up. But Boston's going to be an interesting team. I saw Campbell, by the way, on Tuesday hit a home run in Mexico City against Monterrey, Mexico. I'm sorry. Monterrey, Mexico. I forget the team who they played, but the Red Sox played a couple of exhibition games there before they really start the season up. And Christian Campbell hit this home run and went out fast. It was like 410 feet to dead center. And I thought, man, a kid with that young power, only what was he, 19 or 20? So it's just really cool to see. And the Red Sox need that injection of young players that really break out. They have Casas, yes. They went out and did other things, but Campbell's going to be the guy. In the National League, MVP for me will be Shohei Ohtani again. It only helps his cause, pitching this year. So he's going to get the MVP. It would be a shock if he didn't. It would only be if he didn't get it if he's injured, and then if the pitching hurts his offense, and if he doesn't pitch well. The Dodgers are going to be very careful with him. I mean, very careful with him. Paul Skeens will get the Cy Young Award for the National League with the Pirates. I just see that happening. It's unfortunate. But he won Rookie of the Year. That's why I say that. I say it was unfortunate. I only say that because it should have been Jackson Merrill of San Diego. He plays every day. Skeens pitches every 5 days. But that's my opinion. The Rookie of the Year for the National League, I'm going to say Rookie Sasaki for the Dodgers. But hopefully Mike Shaw, the third baseman for the Cubs, he's, again, going to be a rookie and starting for the Cubs, who really, really need that young talent to keep growing. And he's going to be a big, big part of what they're doing with the Cubs in Chicago. all the young talent that they have, and they need all these kids to come up and shine. So look out for Shaw if Suzuki doesn't get that for the National League Rookie of the Year. That's going to be fun. So the divisional picks and World Series winners. Let's run through these real quick. In the National League, in the American League, Eastern Division, I think the Jays are going to we're going to go bottom to top. Jays are going to be in last. They got to figure out to trade, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It just seems like that's going to happen eventually. And then they just have a bunch of pieces that don't really work well together. They did get Anthony Santander in the outfield, but they lost Jordan Romano, their closer, but he's often hurt. And there's just a lot of questions the Jays have to go through, and the fans aren't happy because they didn't spend as much on starting pitching. And their bullpen is a huge question mark, and that's just what it is right now. The Rays being displaced from the hurricane, from the dome. They signed Ha-Seong Kim. They made a couple of other moves, but nothing that really steps out to you. They do have a young, fun team, but I think playing at Steinbrenner Field and the attendance being worse than what they had, possibly, they're having trouble selling out opening day. So what does that tell you about the rest of the season? So the Rays are in fourth. I think the Red Sox will be in third. Everything would have to go right for them to go first or second. But Boston, they went out and signed Bregman. They traded for Crochet. They gave up a little bit of the farm there. We'll see how that goes on a rental deal for Crochet. But also Devers, we talked about this for a couple shows with Devers not happy, and he said he wanted to stay at third base, but now he's going to be the DH. He's going to go with the flow, maybe even play some first this year. But we'll see what happens with that drama. If it festers into the regular season, Devers has not played much of the spring training games as well. Maybe a couple of games that I know of. But it'd be interesting to see how Bregman fits in there and all the young players that they have, like I mentioned. Yankees, I think, will be second just with all the damn injuries they have. You have Giancarlo Stanton. I want to call him Mike still. But he needs surgeries on both elbows. He had a off-season workout go wrong, and it just hurt him. I don't know how that was approved by the Yankees, but he'll possibly be out. My guess would be either the whole season or at least 4 or 5 months. But he's not doing any activities for a while. Garrett Cole's out, of course, and then Luis Hill has the injury for 2 more months plus. But Garrett Cole's the big one. He needs Tommy John. He'll probably be back in June of 26 or July of 26. Just a big loss. But they went out and signed reinforcements. Max Fried, if he's healthy, it's great for them. They have Devin Williams, who they got for Cortez. So the Yankees should be powerful enough with getting Cody Bellinger unless he self-destructs. But I don't think that's going to happen. Gleyber Torres is now Tiger, but they have some reinforcements. Dominguez in left field. That's going to be interesting to see how he plays. But yeah, Yankees are going to be a second. I think Baltimore, even though their payroll went up, it didn't seem like they did much. It really didn't. They get Tyler O'Neill. They lose Santander to the Blue Jays, like I mentioned. But it didn't seem like they did much. But their pitching is really strong and deep. They're just young. But I think they get it done. They have Batista back in the bullpen to be their closer. Remember, Cano was running the show, and a lot of pressure was on him. But I think the Orioles get it done because of the Yankee injuries. And the Orioles, Jackson Holiday, I know Gunnar Henderson will start the year on the IL, 10-day IL. But he's always an MVP candidate. but they have more coming up, and more is already here for them in the outfield, especially. The Central, I got the White Sox in last, of course. Again, I feel bad for Will Venable, the new manager there. Just awful, awful what he'll have to deal with. A young team with really no names except Luis Robert Jr. Nobody wanted to trade for him. I thought he was going to be the last piece to go, and he's still there. And it probably feels awkward for him to be there. But trade hopefully is imminent this season for him. They might give him up for some, bats and a bag of baseballs. Who knows? But White Sox maybe will beat their mark of 121 losses, maybe 123. I had a friend say 125. They would be 37 and 125. But looking at the roster, sure. A lot of them came from the Red Sox trade for Garrett Crochet. I think that was a 1-4 deal in that deal. But it's going to be another tough year for the White Sox. Twins, I think, will be in fourth. If you haven't heard, the Twins are for sale again, and you can get them for $1.7 billion. But they're in debt, $425 million. So you have to take that on if you want to buy the Minnesota Twins. That's just crazy. They lost their RSN deal. 5 teams did this offseason. RSN, of course, Bally's, whatever that you have. The Angels will probably lose it after this season with FanDuel. But it's a tough time for the Twins. They have a lot of young players, but a lot of them could not repeat what they did in 23. They have some veterans that keep getting hurt. Royce Lewis that got hurt in spring training last week. And then Byron Buxton, he's bound to get hurt in center field or in the outfield. And then they really haven't replaced Joe Mauer at catcher. And think how long that's been since. But we'll see if Pablo Lopez can anchor that rotation and do, have a miracle there. Guardians, I have in third. Even though getting Nolan Jones, they still have Jose Ramirez and brought back Carlos Santana. They have a pretty good rotation. I think they're just gonna miss the playoffs. I don't know, but the Central is stronger, and you saw that last year, of course, with the Guardians, the Royals, and the Tigers all getting in last year. The Royals, I think, will be in second. It just seems like everything's aligning for them. They have a strong rotation. Estevez goes there as their closer. I think that would be good enough for the playoffs. Again, I want them to add an offensive bat that will make an impact by the trade deadline. I really, really, really do. They did that with Tommy Pham last year, and that was cool. But I think you want someone with a little bit more power, maybe a little younger. Maybe have to give up a little more for that. But realize you have a chance to win the division this year and make some noise. The Tigers, speaking of noise, they made it last year. They defeated the Astros in the wild card series. So that was a great time there for the Tigers, who really haven't made the playoffs since, but it was 2014 and 15, I want to say. And now the Angels have the longest drought along with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Those are the two teams that are really struggling, I guess. But the Tigers, I feel like, have a plethora of pitching starting and in the bullpen. They have a young core of hitters that are just great. You talk about Green in the outfield. In the infield, yes, they have a couple of eyesores. Spencer Torkelson, it feels like this is his last chance. He did lose his first base job, and he's trying to get back to it. Javi Baez is that eyesore at short. He lost his zest for the game. He makes those base running errors. He doesn't run hard to first sometimes. He's other from Rendon or number 6. Baez has the worst contract in the MLB, I would say. But regardless of all that, the Tigers should win the Central. In the West, I think it's pretty simple. Who will be in last? The Angels, unfortunately. Even though they made the moves, it seemed like they didn't make enough. We talked about the payroll only going at 201 instead of going higher to 252. The union complaining about it. Tony Clark saying, "Hey, you're in this market. You should be spending not as much as the Dodgers, but you should be up there with others like you used to be." But they got Jorge Soler, the DH, after the one day after the World Series. They get Kikuchi, they get Kyle Hendricks. But after that, it didn't seem like they did much after Travis Darnall to be a backup catcher. We'll see if Stevenson plays this year, or pitches this year, and how well he does. But at least they won't lose 99 games this year. I think they'll be. I think it would be like 93 losses, 69, 93. The A's, who have no city, but they play in Sacramento at the Giants AAA ballpark, I think it is, or single A. No, it's AAA. Sutter Health Park, I think it's called, in Sacramento. Look, I know they re-signed Butler, or they extended him along with Rooker. They get Severino, and they have a young core of really good talent and more coming up. And they want to spend more in Vegas whenever they get there, if they do. But they're going to be competitive. They won't make the playoffs. I know a lot of people are picking that for bold predictions, but I won't. The A's will be in fourth. And then Houston, I think, will be in third because they lost a lot. They have like a CVS receipt list of players that they lost, and it's mostly veterans. Altuve will share time with Alvarez in left field, and that's going to be an adventure for both. Tall left field and short left field. That's going to be awkward. You lose Kyle Tucker in that trade. Isaac Paredes comes, and he plays third. Pena at short, and then Mauricio Dubon at second. And then luckily they have Christian Walker. They did sign him in free agency. They have a pretty good rotation when healthy. That's going to be key for them because we saw them lose, I think, 6 or 7 pitchers last year to injury at some point, and you're just hoping for not a repeat of that. You're just hoping they can make the season, and until they're taken out, they're still the division champions. But it got dicey last year. The Mariners are right on them, but I think this is the year where they are dethroned. Second place, I think, will be Seattle. They keep Raleigh. Again, they didn't make the moves, but they still have a real strong rotation. And also, Andres Munoz is still there, and he's one of the finest closers, I think, in the league. Devastating fastball, and then adds it up with another pitch. So he's going to be great there. But they're just going to miss out unless they make a move. Prove me wrong, Seattle. Make a move, and maybe I'll think of you as a first place team. For me, first place in the AL West, I'm gonna say the Rangers. I feel like they're gonna have a bounce back year. They did make some questionable trades. Nathaniel Lowell is now a Washington National. They did go out because of injury. They signed Patrick Corbin, the former National, who won I think a World Series ring with the Nationals, but he has been just one of the worst starting pitchers in this era, despite the contract he got from Washington, and they're known to give out bad contracts. But I think Texas, they're going to score a lot more. Jock Peterson is there. Now he'll be a fine DH for him sometime in the outfield. I mentioned the young outfield they have. Jung will be back for them at third base. You have the core up the middle with Seager and Simeon. I think they're just going to be back and fine. Okay, wild cards. I got the Yankees, the Royals, and the Mariners as my 3 wild cards. It's going to be interesting to see that wild card race because you have so many different teams trying to get in there and that have a shot. Okay, National League in the East, Marlins, obviously, in last. They have a minor league team. They were trying to get a practice squad going full of like college and street players, and the Players Union quickly axed that crap. Just bull crap there. Sonny Alcantara, it could be yours. He could be yours for a certain price. That is right, and that could be like 3 or 4 prospects. Probably the Yankees will try to get him, but I did hear that the owner or the GM was mentioning they're going to try to get pitching within the Yankee system instead of trying to trade for it. But that could change though. Depends how desperate they get. And also you have the Padres, you have the Dodgers, of course, in the running for Alcantara. You never know. The Nationals, they're on the roll. Having these great prospects. They always draft high. James Wood is going to be a great player. He might be a 30-30 guy, home runs and stolen bases. He's tall, he's lanky. He's almost like Josh Bell, but more athletic. I think Josh Bell went back to the Nationals, by the way. But they have such a young, talented team, but it's still not enough for them to really compete. But you saw last year they kind of got out of the gates kind of well, just like the Pirates did, but a little bit less. And you just hope for progression every single year if you're a Nationals fan. Shout out Sonya, of course. Third place. Now this is where it gets juicy. New York Mets. I don't care if they got Soto. They have pitching problems up the rear. Clay Holmes is healthy, yes, right now, but Mania, Senga, and there's another one that has been injured and throughout the spring training, and they were just trying to figure out who was going to be healthy for the season to start. But they're going to have the pitching problems, and then Edwin Diaz, it's going to be a chore to get to him, I believe. David Robertson is still out there. We'll see if anybody tries to go after him in the bullpen. So I have the Mets at third, despite bringing back the polar bear, Pete Alonso. But it seems like the Mets just met. I know last year it could have been a fluke. I hope it wasn't, but it was a fun ride last year listening to those games. But I don't know if the Mets have it in them to make another true run. Maybe I'm wrong. But Braves, I think, will be in second. They're going to be behind. And the reason why they have Snellenbach as a good rotation piece there. But Strider is coming back from injury. He may not ever be the same from his injury. Ronald Acuna Jr., this is the second time he's come back from a horrific injury where he missed a lot of time. And you just wonder about him. And then getting Jurickson Profar in left field and paying for him, I think it was, 3 years, $45 million. And he hasn't really shined anywhere else except San Diego. So I don't know how he's going to do in left field. It's going to be interesting. The bullpen is still good with Iglesias. You still have a plethora of great hitters with Atlanta. Remember, their catcher will be out to start the year. Sean Murphy, as the former A. Again, all the A's have gone to either the Mets or the Braves. But that's going to be interesting to see without Travis Denard how the Braves will go. All right, so the Phillies, I think, will be in first place because of all this that the Braves and the Mets are going through. They are older, the core that they have. You think about Trey Turner and Bryce Harper being 32, Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos being 35, 36, whatever the case is. But the thing that helps them is that they have probably like 5 or good 6 starters. And it starts with who they re-upped with before last season is Wheeler and Nola. Just those two you could put right in front and you feel confident with them in the playoffs. You really do. But you have Ranger Suarez, who unfortunately will be on the IL to start the season. But they did go out and trade for Jesus Luzardo from, guess what? The Marlins. Only the Marlins would do an in-divisional trade from worst to first, in my opinion, of how the teams go. So it's going to be interesting to see the Phillies this year. They definitely going to be a playoff team. Okay, the Central was the hardest damn division to predict. I mean, we thought the AL Central was bad last year, and it turned out three teams got in. It should have been four, but the Twins went what 10-29 the last 39 games to finish the year on a horrible note. Central, I have last place the Cardinals. I cannot stand what the Cardinals are doing this year. And the last 3 or 4, Paul Goldschmidt is gone. Arenado seemingly does not want to be there. They have this young talent coming up, but it's not enough. They will have some Gold Glove defenders in their future, but it's just not enough, I don't think, to get it done at any time. So they're going to be a really interesting team to see them going forward, but it's going to be another bad year in St. Louis, and the fans are just staying away. They know great baseball, and they're not getting it right now. That's for sure. The Pirates will be in fourth. Again, they didn't do anything in the offseason to make them a winner. I think story came out. I just saw it in Foul Territory about someone leaking into their. This is where you do research. Got into the books of the Pirates and how much money they've lost and how much money they haven't been able to spend, or they don't want to spend. And everybody's calling for the head of the owner. They have something great with Paul Skeens, and he's even called them out, saying, "You better spend, or else I'm gonna be like Garrett Cole and get the hell out of here." Um, it's just really, really bad what's going on. I mean, all they have is Paul Skeens. You bring back McCutcheon for maybe his final hurrah. That's it. That's literally all you got with the Pirates. You had some young pieces they have, but it's still not enough for any damn thing. The Reds, again, with Terry Francona coming through, they'll be in third place. They're going to be so young as well. They did trade away Jonathan India to the Royals. He's been often injured and often questionable to see how he will do. But the Reds have so many young players, and it'll be interesting to see how their starting staff does, and then how the team does with Francona, like I mentioned. Maybe not off the ground yet, but hopefully they'll take off maybe next season to be not a contender, but a playoff person in the NL. That's what you want to see. All right, the Brewers I think will be in second. I was torn between the Cubs and Brewers. I really was. You see Milwaukee, they get back Brandon Woodruff, but Willie Adames goes to the Giants just on a weird free agent deal. It was like, I know, 7 years, 100 and whatever million, or 200, whatever it was. But that move was just weird because the Brewers really needed him. I mean, he had a great contract year last year. Jackson Chourio is going to have to really perform well after his stellar rookie year last season. All the power, the power will be on his shoulders. Christian Yelich isn't getting any younger, so that's going to be interesting to note. Nestor Cortez, I don't think he's that good with the Brewers, but they're going to have a lot of questions there in Milwaukee. That's why I think the Cubs, even though they didn't spend as much, the Cubs getting Cal Tucker on that contract year, he's going to love it if the wind is blowing out of Wrigley. And again, you have Mike Shaw, you have Horner, you have Pete Crow Armstrong as a young player coming up. His hair is kind of crazy. It's like Rodman-like, but those have a stellar rotation. You have Steele, you have Jameson Taillon. There's a couple of other young studs in that rotation. And then they went out, got Ryan Presley to be their closer. Colin Ray is a good reliever. So the Cubs, I think they have the right formula. You have the right manager with Craig Counsell. Remember last year he shocked the baseball world going down the highway to Illinois from Wisconsin to be the I-75. No, maybe. 85. No, that's St. Louis. Yeah, I-75 going from um, Milwaukee to the Cubs, and they paid him the most ever that a manager got. So Cubs, they're going for it. It's kind of, we'll see if they make a move though. In the West, of course, the Rockies will be in last. I mentioned they didn't really do much. They still have that horrible Chris Bryant contract. They have a bunch of young players, except Nolan Jones was traded for really nothing. Um, they have, again, outfielders, infielders, but no rotation. It seems like they have a rotation that just gives up bombs, and their ERAs are sky high. And I think that's going to continue in Denver for those Rockies, unfortunately. Giants will be in fourth. I mean, they signed Justin Verlander, again, get Willie Adames, but other from that, you have your Skrimsky, but you have some failed prospects on the roster for the Giants. Oh, Logan Webb is really good too. But other from that, you have a hard. Their closer's pretty good too, but you have a hard time trying to find a winner with that team. And hopefully Buster Posey can kind of um, get that process going the way he wants to. And it's great to see a former catcher get into a system again, get to where he used to play, and I think he's going to have his hands all over that, and I hope that brings success. The Padres are going to be in third. They had the ownership issue in the offseason where the widow of Peter Seidler is fighting with the brothers of Seidler, and they have another brother that's running things, and then that means they couldn't spend much and they can't trade for much. And it'll be interesting to see with their veteran pieces, the ones that are healthy, if they trade them. That's Dylan Cease, Luis Ariz, among others. And they have big contracts that aren't really, solid right now. Down the road, especially the Bogarts contract just looks awful. We have Machado and Tatis Jr. They just need to outscore, whatever team they play, at least by 5 runs to win games, it feels like. Unless they get a great start for someone, it's going to be hard to get to Robert Suarez at closer. But their closer has also been bad, stemming from last September into October and now in spring training. Robert Suarez has not been the Robert Suarez before, and he also got re-up before all this happened. It's just unfortunate to see, but he's been giving up some late inning home runs that have lost Padres some games. Diamondbacks will be in second. I just love what they did in the offseason. They lose Christian Walker, but they trade for Josh Naylor, the crazy, crazy guy in the dugout after he hits a home run. If you ever see him, that's going to catapult their offense even more. Again, the rotation moves, getting Corbin Burns. Maybe Ginkel's going to be closing for the Diamondbacks, but that's going to be interesting to see how the Diamondbacks do. And of course, Los Angeles will be first place. The Dodgers, the world champions, blah, blah, blah. They only got better. They signed Michael Conforto. Shohei will be back on the mound. And then who else did they get? Sasaki from Japan will be a starter for them as well. Tanner Scott coming over from the Padres to be reliever. Anything they want, they got it. I think the only thing that derails them is injuries this season. That's it. It's going to be interesting to see how many games they win. Will they break the 116 wins record by the 2001 Mariners? We'll have to see. I'm thinking 114, but we'll see if they break that. That's going to be interesting to know. All right, my wild cards are the Braves, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres. I don't see the Mets. I don't see what the hell's happening with the Mets at all. And then my World Series pick is the Dodgers over Texas in 5 games. I really believe in Texas to come back into the World Series and then making a run, or the playoffs and then making a run but I think LA is just too strong. I really do. The Dodgers just seem to have it going for them. Um, that would be the end of the show. I know it would be an hour, but uh, thank you for watching and keep just checking out Halos in the Infield here for all the news and notes of the Angels, and then me with the MLB show. Just check out all the shows, and then of course the online with the on X, Instagram, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube for the programs. Believe for the podcast. Take care, folks. We'll see you next time on Around the League. Bye, folks.